make the crust for this galette, start by placing 3/4 cup of millet flour into a large bowl. Add 3/4 cup of sorghum flour, 1/4 cup of tapioca starch, also known as tapioca flour, 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of cane sugar. Then whisk all the ingredients together to combine. Then add 1/2 cup of diced cold vegan butter. I used Miyoko's brand. I then started working the butter and the flours together using a fork, and then I actually resorted to using my hands and just squeezed the flours and the butter until I could bring the dough together. I also had a small bowl with ice water on the side, and I added 1 tablespoon of the ice water, and that helped bring the dough together even further. And ultimately, I used 2 tablespoons of the ice water. What you want is a dough that holds together when pressed, but you do not want a sticky or watery dough. After I got the dough to this state, I then pressed it into a flat disc. I then covered this dough with plastic wrap and I placed it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes to allow it to cool and firm. I then cleaned 3 Bosc pears and I sliced those into thin slices. I then placed these slices in a large bowl and set those aside. I then added 1 cup of clean and dried blackberries. And to this fruit, I added 2 tablespoons of maple syrup and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of tapioca starch, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and about 1/8 teaspoon of salt. I then stirred everything together. And at this point, I also tasted it to test the sweetness level. And it wasn't sweet enough for me because the pears weren't so sweet. So I added some more sugar. What I did was I added 2 tablespoons of turbinado sugar. I then gave everything a good stir. After the dough was in the refrigerator for 30 minutes, I then placed it on a piece of parchment paper and I put another piece of parchment paper on top. And I rolled the dough out to approximately 12 inches in diameter, and I'd say maybe about 1/8 inch thick. I then moved the dough with the parchment paper underneath it onto a baking tray. And I used my hands and placed the pears in the center of the dough. Not the blackberries, just the pears at first, and then I tipped the blackberries and put that on top of the pears. I then started folding the dough up and over the fruit. As you see, the dough broke a bit, but I just used my fingers and pieced the dough together. And this does not have to be a perfect crust. It's a rustic pie. So you just bring the dough up, and when it breaks, you repair the cracks with your fingers. I then brushed the crust with some non-dairy milk. I used a combination of coconut and cashew milk. Then I sprinkled that with some turbinado sugar. Then I placed the galette onto the center rack of a preheated 375-degree Fahrenheit oven, and I baked it for 45 minutes. I then took it out of the oven and allowed it to cool for about 15 minutes before slicing and enjoying with a side of vegan vanilla ice cream. Let me know in the comments if you try this recipe, and check out these next videos.